Hello, and welcome to Girls Run These Worlds channel. My name is Sarah, and I'll be your groundskeeper for this one shot of Bluebeard's Bride, a game of feminine horror by Magpie Games. As a warning, this is a game for mature audiences and a strong content warning applies. As I described, Bluebeard's Bride is a game of feminine horror, so themes of violence, body horror, sexuality, abuse, and more will appear. The players will use a yellow and red card system during play for safety, where they can say or message me a yellow or red card, and I will divert the scene or pull back altogether to take stock at the table. Don't hesitate to step away from the broadcast or pause as you need. Take care of yourselves above all. Now, let's introduce our players, all aspects of the bride, starting with Abby, the Animus.
Hi, I'm Abby. I'll be playing the Animus. It is an individual that is the focus of strength of a nature in the bride, and I'm really excited. We're gonna have a lot of fun.
Thank you. And next, Arnica, the witch.
Hi, I'm Arnica. I will be playing the witch. I'll be playing the part of the bride that really kind of reaches for the darker mysteries in life. I might not always understand what's going on, but I really want to find out.
Fantastic. And next, Ava, the mother.
Hello, darlings and dears. My name is Ava, and I'll be playing the aspect called the mother. She is someone who has a lot of maternal authority, but also a lot of love and compassion that these sisters need to try to seek out and receive.
A very good description. And finally, we have Liz, the Fatale.
Hello, I'm Liz. You can find me as the Moulin Rogue in most places. I am playing the Fatale. I am the bride's sensuality. I play to her feminine wiles. We'll see how well that serves us tonight.
Fantastic. And with that, we're going to get acquainted a little bit with the story of Bluebeard and his bride. So, as I said, the sisters you see before your eyes are all aspects of the same person, the bride of the mysterious and wealthy Bluebeard. The players created this unique bride during a private character creation session where we asked a number of questions to get to know each sister's role in creating this entire person of the bride. So the story begins. Bluebeard, on a hunting trip, stumbled upon the bride's family's dilapidated farmstead not long ago and immediately was smitten with her. He proved himself to the bride and her family during their short courtship, promising a life of wealth and security. Now she leaves her provincial life behind after the wedding ceremony. Even before Bluebeard and the bride can consummate their matrimonial bond, Bluebeard was called away on business. He's a very important man, after all. He handed the bride a great ring of keys and said, "Here are the keys to your new home. The smallest key, my dear, is for the closet at the end of the great gallery. Open everything, go everywhere, save this one little room. I forbid you to use that key." And he departed without another word. And thus the bride is left to explore the vast mansion, unfamiliar but inviting, yet in her wedding gown. From each singular room filled with whispers of the past, the sisters will take tokens of loyalty or disloyalty regarding her new husband. Eventually, they'll reach that closet at the end of the great gallery, the final room, and decide where their loyalties lie. And so we begin. As you approach Bluebeard's mansion, your wedding gown, the bottom of it whispering along the stone paths, it's a great gray stone. It almost looks like a castle. There's ivy growing up the sides. There's great windows. It's a building whose size is beyond your comprehension up until this point in your life. You've never seen a residence like this. And you enter. And as I said shortly before the game, the witch, Bluebeard, favored your gift to him on your wedding night above all. Your gift was a stone from the bend in the river, the same color blue as his beard, exceedingly beautiful, polished to a brilliant blue luster that you spent weeks working on, and then set into a cravat pin. The sheer tenacity, the beauty, the creativity of that gift really delighted Bluebeard, and thus you have the Ring of Keys. Please describe the first key.
The first key is cold in my hand. It is brightly turned metal, a Damascus sort of swirl to it. I've never held anything like this before. We're from a small village, iron, maybe some steel if your family is very rich, but nothing like this 7-inch monster with elaborately filigreed handles and delicate, almost too many teeth at the end.
Very interesting. And what's the weight of it? You said it's cold, but is it heavy? Is it light?
It's lighter than I expected it would be. I thought it would be very heavy, like an iron key of its size, but it's not. It's almost as light as wood.
Okay. So the door before you, you're looking for the door that matches the key, and you're wandering a little bit. But from what you can see, it looks like the keys are unique and they belong with these individual doors. So you wander a bit until you find a plain, dark, heavy wooden door. And while the wood itself is plain and not engraved, the doorknob is that same Damascus swirl of the key. And there is that keyhole right above it. And also on the door is a little window kind of above you slightly, with like frosted glass. So you can sort of see some shapes and colors swirling inside, but nothing beyond that due to the nature of the glass. So you put the key in the keyhole and the door opens. The room beckons you inside and the door closes behind you. As you enter, the room seems both wide open and slightly smaller than you expected. The walls and the ceiling, your footsteps echo, your heels click, click, and you can hear echoing in the room. The air smells like dust, like oil, some kind of, not a familiar oil. And there's this kind of sharp, tangy smell. As you're looking around. You notice that the room is circular. And it's filled with finely made musical instruments. So this is a music room. Any instrument you imagine can be found here. There's a, you see the typical guitars, violins, harmonicas, bells, flutes, all in very good shape, all shiny. You also see a strange metal box with a series of knobs and a long antenna protruding at one end. You also see a circle of high-backed chairs, each with a singular sapphire blue candle placed on the seat. And it's like surrounding that strange metal box, almost as it's awaiting something to be in. There are also frescoes on the walls of musicians. And there are on the floor concentric circles of music notes on the floor below you. So, witch, what do you do?
I step into the room in wonder. I've never seen anything quite so beautiful. The walls have been very carefully hand painted. These little music notes inlaid on the floor, they're absolutely charming. And there's a harp. And a grand harp is the epitome of a fine lady's instrument. They're so large they can't be moved without teams of servants. You absolutely must have fine, strong hands to play them. And I've never been close to one before. So I'm intrigued. I'm heading over towards it when something about the paintings on the wall catches my eye. So I think I'd like to look at those a little bit closer.
Absolutely, you can definitely do that. So let's say you are investigating a mysterious object here.
Okay.
So you can basically ask me 2 questions about this as you view it. So you can ask me whose it is, what memory does the item hold, what about this item is odd or uncanny, or why did Bluebeard keep this item? You can ask me 2.
I think I would like to know what memories the painting holds and what about the painting is odd or uncanny.
Okay. So what is odd or uncanny about it is when your eyes move from scene to scene on this fresco, a bride appears. Not you, but another feminine figure in what looks like a wedding gown. She has long, flowing red hair. And the other depictions on it are of merrymakers in like an endless parade. They're playing instruments and flying kites. And they're running from men dressed as devils in some sort of celebration. And when you look and your eyes find the bride again, because she always appears no matter where your vision goes, you finally get a look at her straight on instead of kind of in profile in this 2-dimensional way. It's almost like she turns towards you, her body facing your body, and her gown is split open at the torso. And you can see crimson paint. And it looks wet, even though you get the impression that these frescoes have been painted long ago. And was the other question asked, what memories does this item hold? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, so in terms of memories, the bride is still facing you in this fresco. And her fingers on her hands, they position themselves like they're plucking the strings of a harp. And her eyes are wide and more wet, soft blue paint strikes down. And the plucking soon turns to ripping her gown off, ripping her gown, tearing the seams. And then the figure of the bride disappears in the fresco. And you move your eyes from scene to scene, and she's no longer there.
All right. So I've drifted closer and closer as I've circled the room following the fresco, and at every turn I've seen the bride in a different position until finally in front of the harp, she's looking at me trying to play the instrument behind me. I'm looking at her until she vanishes. So I'm going to turn around and look back and forth between the harp and the walls where the bride no longer is, and kind of rubbing my hands nervously across up and down the fine corset boning of my own wedding dress. I'm going to approach the harp. I'm going to not quite sit down at it, but I'm going to circle it slowly. I am wondering what exactly it is I saw. I know that musicians can be temperamental. They can most certainly try to give too much of themselves over and over in everything they do. I don't understand what I saw. Am I seeing the echo of a girl who just lost herself in her music over and over and just always felt like no matter how good she was playing, it wasn't. I don't understand. So I think I'd like to explore her instruments some more. I'm going to wander closer to that wiggly, weird box.
Do you intend to try to make music, sister?
Well, I mean, it would be nice, wouldn't it? And music certainly has its own powers. It charms, it beguiles. And I mean, yes, maybe our husband would find it sweet, but wouldn't it just be nice to play?
I mean, it's all ours. You can play to your heart's desire, I suppose.
Not only that, we still have to pick a hobby for our newfound title. Perhaps music would be our own thing.
If we're not experiencing, how are we to know what we're into? How are we to know what in this house will please us?
I think we may have to
Okay.
definitely repaint.
Well, we are very definitely interested in checking out that box in the middle of the room.
Okay. So you're checking it out. You're simply just looking at it right now?
Well, I'm interested, but I'm also a little bit nervous because I did just see, or at least I thought I saw, just the spirit of this musician. She's obviously not there now. So I think I might want to take stock before I touch it.
Sure, absolutely. Um So the situation definitely is a little more tense than when you got in after seeing these visages on the frescoes. What do you have the questions there? You can
I
ask me one.
do. I think that out of the four questions available, I think I'd like to know what traps have been laid here for us before I touch anything with my sweet little fingers.
What traps? Okay, interesting. Um, you almost you feel like around your head like a breeze, like a wind. It's not strong, but you can feel this air rush past your ears very quickly, especially as you kind of center yourself in front of this box. And the closer you get another like little breeze around your head, another breeze around your head. And you hear bzz, bzz, but just a handful of times. And then the sounds end.
Well, that that makes us a little bit nervous.
Hmm.
I don't know if we want to touch this, but it's so bizarre. We've never seen anything like it before. Oh, oh, we kind of want to touch it. We shouldn't touch it. Sisters, we shouldn't touch it, but we've never seen anything like this before.
No, but sister,
You,
he did say anything in the house is ours.
but I don't think it would be wise to touch something that has such an ominous feeling to us, especially without knowing more about it. Perhaps we can find someone to explain it.
Possible. Which I trust you as the one who knows the most of mysterious things.
Hmm. I I mean, our husband did say the entire house was ours to look through. And he wouldn't send us into a dangerous room with broken things. Let's
Would
just
he would
no,
he have left
what?
something out for us to touch if it wasn't there for us to touch?
This is
Ex-
our house.
But it also could have been broken when he was not around. I do not trust this. Why can't we look at something else in this room that is safer?
Well, at this point, if it was broken when he wasn't around, as the mistress of the house, surely it's our responsibility to make sure that someone knows it's broken, which we can't do until we touch it.
So it's actually at this point that someone comes in the room and they close the door behind them. And it's a very tall, wiry man. He's got a pencil thin mustache and this kind of comb over dark hair. And he's wearing a kind of a not a fancy but a nicely made black jacket, and it has tails on it actually. And he kind of struts up with confidence to you sisters, and he said, hello, I am Jeremy, the musical tutor here at the mansion. I was told that I should instruct you should you show interest in the many fine instruments that we have. And he smiles really wide, and it is kind of still in this half bow. And then is sort of just looking at you eagerly.
There you
All
go.
right. Well, look at that, sisters. It looks like we're all going to get our way. I'm going to very properly clasp my hands in front of me and try with my absolute hardest to look like a lady and not like, he found me on a farm a couple weeks ago. Hoping that he's not paying attention to the fact that my hands look like they haul hay and not, play harps. I'm going to, Jeremy, you said, what is this curious thing in the room? And I'm going to point at whatever this mysterious box is.
And Jeremy's eyes light up, and he actually takes your hand and leads you over, or leads you both, so you're kind of there facing the box. And he grasps your hand. Maybe you're holding on a little bit too tightly. You want to do that. And he moves your hand into the empty space of above the box, and immediately you hear like a soft wail, and it's a strange electronic sort of alien sounding thing. And he's smiling, and he's moving his hand and your hand in the empty space, and the pitch goes up and the pitch goes down, and soon this wailing is echoing through this circular room, and the pitch is going up and up and up. And then you see your hands are shaping a woman's torso, both of your hands in the empty space. And now the wails sound like screams, and the pitch goes up and the pitch goes up, and a dark power is surging through your veins.
So at first, this is possibly the most magical thing I have ever witnessed. I'm it's an instrument, but I'm playing the air. It is every spell I've ever cast under a new moon. It's every time I've brought the earth and the water and the air and the fire together in the dark of night where no one could see. It's all of that made into sound. And I don't need to be some fancy lady who's had years of, you have to hold your back just like this, and your fingers must be just so. All I have to do is move my hands. And for a moment, it just feels so good. But the sound is in the back of my teeth and behind my eyes as it just keeps getting higher. And I try to kind of step back, but Jeremy has caged us in from behind. And I notice that it almost feels like the shape of the woman, where now these curves are not just some spell, they're not just the music, the sound moving through us. We are very much not just the side, not just the curves, but the front, the back. We are forming someone from this sound, and her screams are drilling through us, and I'm scared. What I do not know if she's going to come through and we can't pull back.
Okay, so you said to me she's scared now. So to me, that triggers shivering from fear.
Does it?
And that's one of your moves that you have as the holder of the ring currently. So tell me, what's the thing you're most afraid of in this moment?
I am very much afraid that whatever we are forming from this music, from this sound we are making, is going to form fully and step forward into the room with us.
It's going to break through. Not only that, but it will break through and it will unleash more dark powers, which you're already feeling as your hands are making these shapes. So, what you can do now is keep the ring and choose two, and I'll give you a couple options, or you can pass the ring and choose one. So the options are: it infects the bride with its perversion, it has the bride in its clutches right now, or it speaks to you. Take one trauma, just you, sister. So you can keep the ring and two of those things happen, or you can pass the ring and one of those things happen.
Well, I I did get us into this, and I'm deeply concerned about where this feels unfortunately darkly magical if my sisters have the skill to get us out, but also I would like to beat feet. Fuck this bitch. Pardon my language. So
Sister, how could you use such language? Oh my goodness.
she frightened me. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm gonna keep the ring. I'm gonna take the two. So it can go ahead and infect the bride with its perversions, and it can speak to me, and I'll take the trauma.
Okay. So you'll mark that trauma on your track there, sister. Just one. And you feel, like you said, the screams, the sounds are in your teeth. Your jaw is vibrating. Your eyes hurt in that deep way, like in your sinuses. The pressure is building and it's a bad feeling. Yet also, you now know how to command this otherworldly instrument. You understand that you can shape this out of nothing, these sounds, as horrible as they are, and even the screams, high pitched and ringing. You wonder what other sounds it could make. What other flavor of scream could emit, and how you can manipulate your power to serve your own desires. And you feel that dark power surge that settles into your blood, even if it felt like it might have slipped away for a moment. What do you do now? And
right.
Jeremy has actually stepped away slightly. He's taken like a step back.
Okay. So as this knowledge of the instrument fills me, and more importantly, of whatever is driving the spirit in this instrument, I'm gonna caress the horror because I got a plan.
Okay.
I hope
all
so.
right. So you are gonna roll your 2d6 plus your blood stat, whatever that may be, and we'll see what happens. So roll your 2d6, please.
All right. 6, 7, 8. And then my blood is +1. So I got a 9. Oh, I'm so close. That's all right. I
So close.
have a
So
backup
close.
plan too.
Okay. So Jeremy, his attention is shifting away from your hands moving through the air and these screams emitting. He's sort of like detached from the scene. And are you still moving your hands? Or have you
So my plan was, and hopefully my backup plan will still kick in from this, is that as I am calling forth this entity, I open my mouth as well. I let the sound that's vibrating out through her vibrate out through me as well. I try to match the note that she's screaming at into a sound, into a song. And we both turn to look at Jeremy because the sound's not quite matching. I guess I'm not quite what she wants. I don't know.
And Jeremy, his expression now is wide-eyed, and you almost see these little droplets, like water droplets of tears at the corners of his eyes. And he said, perhaps this time it will be different, and you'll learn, and he'll accept it. And yes, I think it will be different this time. It will. It will be different. And he kind of gives you this look of awe, basically. And then he turns on his heel and he exits the room.
Okay.
Groundskeeper, I would like to take stock.
Totally. Let's see.
What does this place demand of the bride?
This place demands discipline. It demands tireless work. It demands becoming something different, but something powerful.
Transformation.
Perhaps. Witch, what do you do now?
I think I'd like to propose a truth.
That sounds great. So please tell us what you think happened in this room, to whom, and why.
So as Jeremy leaves, I find that finally I can pull my hands back from the air above the machine. We have sung together, and I have very much decided that while I do not know exactly what this is, that perhaps this little musical conservatory can be one of our spaces. It's very important for a mistress of the house to have hobbies and skills, and I have made a new friend of sorts. Um, we would very much like to see each other again. But more importantly, I think that the truth of this room is that, funny enough, I'm going to take a token of faithfulness. I don't think Bluebeard did any harm to this bride. I think that the woman who owned the room before us was a perfectionist in all things musical. She was obviously greatly, deeply skilled. Look at all these instruments. But I don't think she was ever as skilled as she wanted to be. Um, I think that she may have literally just given of herself until there was nothing left to give. And when she could not reach the levels of perfection she wanted, that she may have ended herself in this room. Um, I'm I worry that perhaps the screams are just the echoes of her anguish and her madness as she came so close to almost writing that perfect song that really showed how she felt about our husband. So I'm going to pick up a piece of half-finished sheet music that was underneath the machine and put it in my bodice as our token.
Very well done there. So, sisters, that means now you have one token of loyalty to your new husband, Bluebeard. Very well done, Arnica. Thank you. So, which you do heal your trauma.
Woo!
So that feeling in your head leaves. It's almost like as the door shuts behind you and you leave, your mind is crystal clear and ready for whatever the next room holds. And now I will ask you to pass the ring.
Well, I think that since the mother, bless her heart, had so many concerns about the way we explored the last room, maybe she should go ahead and feel free to show us how a proper lady does it. And I'll hand her the ring.
You don't have to be so sassy with me, sister, but if you insist, I'll take the ring.
Very good. And Mother, how do you feel about the events of the previous room and these feelings of loyalty that the witch has espoused?
I must admit, there was a bit of concern seeing the vision of the woman, not knowing what happened to her, and the mysterious sense of dread that surrounded the instruments. It did put me on edge, but I know that the witch is a very capable woman. I may have had concerns, but I never doubted her to discover her own truth. And so with that, I am proud.
A fair assessment. So please describe the next key.
The next key is going to be of a beautiful silvery sheen. It's very light, not cold like the first one, but still like a cooling sensation before it quickly heats up to be something warm. And for a brief moment, as the mother touches the key, she comes back away from it with seems like condensation, like it was stuck in rain or maybe in an area that had a lot of steam to it. And then looking at the symbol of the key, it seems to be of trickling water, perhaps maybe a bathhouse. I guess we'll find out.
Okay, very good. That certainly gives me quite a bit to work with, so I appreciate that. So you start to go searching for the door that would match this key that has these changes in temperature and condensation and this shiny silver sheen. You approach a door that has all these square panels. And once again, it's this frosted glass again, where you inside you see green. And if you look at the door, there's this like very ethereal sense of like breathing, like that you can almost see it like swell and then contract, even though it appears to be some kind of glass. And you put the key in the keyhole, you turn it, and you enter the room, which beckons, and then the door shuts behind you. You're standing inside an old greenhouse. The rays of the setting sun turn emerald in the moist air. The air is still, but you can hear the rustles of nature echoing off the greenhouse window panes. The floor, it's like a wooden deck. So there's small potted trees on the wooden deck, and then you can sort of step down from the deck into soil, excuse me. And you also see two long wooden tables, which hold hundreds of small plants, small potted plants. There's a smell of rot. It's sweet. And your nose crinkles. Just beyond the tables is a rusty tool shed. And opposite the shed is a delicate looking bench that's standing over a darker patch of dirt. And as you're entering and you're witnessing all of that, the room mimics the key. You started and it was almost like you were in this cool kind of stable air of the hallway, and then you come in here and it's this like warming up, and you can feel also little beads of sweat on your brow. What do you do?
I think she's going to take stock of everything.
Okay.
I think it is what traps have been laid for the bride here. Because for some reason, it feels familiar with the nature, knowing that some aspects of herself would feel at home. The smell of decay, it's something that she's experienced on the farm, but to have it here, it gives her pause. So she wants to see if there's any traps laid before her.
Okay. You're looking over this entire scene with the tables, the potted plants, which you notice that's kind of where the rot smell is mainly originating, is all these plants on the tables. And you can see some of the pots wiggling, and you can kind of hear that kind of ceramic, or the material is escaping me. It's the orange flower pot. So, and
Terracotta.
Terracotta.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Terracotta, perfect. And so you can kind of hear that. It makes like a tinkling sound on this wooden table. And it's not like all of them are doing it at once. It's like one over here does it, another one over here does it. That is what you see. when you take stock.
What have you found?
I'm not too sure. It seems that shouldn't be moving, correct? It's not my wheelhouse per se, but I don't think things like that would be moving.
Oh, there's some horrible bugs most likely crawling in there. Things with far too many legs that bite at both ends.
Mm,
We're
We
well,
used to
were
getting our hands dirty.
true,
agreed.
but I also don't want to get distress ruined. Let's let's look around some more to see if maybe we can find protection to keep us clean, and then we can research.
Gloves at the very least.
Yes, at the very least, gloves. So she'll go towards the shed.
So shy, as if we ruin this and he won't just buy us another one.
It's
But it
not
won't be.
it's not shyness, it's just appreciating the value of things. Yes, he can give us more, but we can still take pride in our appearance and the valuables that we have.
Besides, a new dress won't be this dress.
Exactly. Let's go.
Okay, so you are moving toward the rusty tool shed. It's not very big. There is no door on it. It's just opens right into it. You can see a little bit in there. It's a bit dark because it is covered over, and so any light from the room is not really getting in there. And you see the glint of some tools here and there, like a wrench. You see garden shears, even just like a watering can, a metal watering can. And yeah, that's what you see there. What do you do now?
Well, no gloves. Oh darn.
Yeah, no gloves.
I guess we'll reach for potted plants. Like one of those miniature shovels just to see if we can like to scoop at the soil of the potted plants.
Okay, sure. Yeah,
Yes,
you got
trowel.
a trowel. Yeah, a little trowel there for sure. You grab that. It's not quite as like nice looking as you were expecting. You thought in like this wealthy home everything would kind of be pristine, but this seems to have been kind of lying around for quite a while. And maybe there's just like one or two spots of rust. Okay, so you're heading over to the small pots on the long wooden tables.
Yes.
Okay. And the closer you get, the more the smell increases until you're standing over these pots with your trowel. What do you do now?
Let's take up one of the pots that isn't rattling first.
Okay, so you choose a pot that is still or that you didn't see wiggle. Okay, so you stick your trowel in the soil of the still pot, and a tiny hand comes out of the soil and grabs onto the handle of the trowel. It's a small, tiny hand. And it can only really like grasp your finger, but it grasps your finger in the trowel. And it's like desperately like trying to like pull you in, kind of like yeah, just like pull you in. Though it's not very strong. The size of it kind of betrays its lack of strength, if you will.
Can I try to yank it out?
Yeah, let's see. Let's call that move dirty yourself with violence.
Mhm.
Because when you're yanking it you're trying to stop what's happening, essentially,
Right.
if I'm getting that correct. Okay, so what you're going to do is roll your 2d6 plus carnality.
Okay, let's do this. 6, 2, 6, 8, 9.
9.
Mhm.
So you take your hand and you try to yank this little hand out of the soil, and you like give this really, I mean, you understood on the farm, your hands are strong. They've done work for your family, for your siblings, for your mother. And you're not uncertain when it comes to these, gardening and being outside and things like that. So you steel yourself and you just give one big yank, powerful, and it almost like stretches out the arm, and then it like goes back into the soil, and it like jets back in. And the smallness of the hand disturbs you very deeply now that it is gone, and you will take 1 trauma.
Okay. Oh, that was
and
off-putting.
as it slaps back in, then the terracotta pot falls over and some of the soil spills out, and then all the pots on the table start wiggling, and you hear all of that on the table, and it's becoming louder and louder. The table starts shaking and the pots are wiggling and wiggling and wiggling. What do you do?
Oh, Is it possible in this moment to caress a horror?
Yeah, it's one of the ring moves, and those are available to you as you have the ring.
Okay,
So you can. Okay, so we'll have you roll again plus blood this time.
Which is nothing, so hopefully
Yeah.
this helps. Oh, 12.
Oh, fantastic. Well done. And when you're so in caressing a horror, you're trying to soothe
Mhm.
these horrors that you're seeing. And so what does that look like exactly for you, Mother, as you see all these pots wiggling, as the sound is increasing? What does that look like?
I think the hand, for a brief flash of moment, reminded her to her younger siblings, the babies, with how small and fragile, but yet has a certain amount of strength behind it whenever they try to reach for something. So thinking back to her siblings, she is going to just hike up her dress, maybe like tuck in as much as she can into like the bloomers, because those are fine. We can dirty those, that's fine, but the dress, no. And she'll hunker down on the floor with all of the pots and the dirt and the shaking, and just start humming along, taking the music that she experienced before and trying to make it like a very strong, comforting song that has no real words to it, but just something soothing to try to calm down the spirit of whatever is haunting this place.
Beautiful. So you start humming. You think about the music room and this secondary feeling of power that you got from the witch, embracing this ability to do something brand new. And now you're pairing that with these instincts that you have as the mother. And the wiggling starts to die down. Not all at once, but in a wave. And you hear sniffles and catches of breath.
It's all right.
And then
Yeah.
all the pots are still.
We're
And
good here.
the smell of rot lessens slightly. It's still there, but it's not as pungent as it was before. It's not as oppressive as it felt previously. So you are able to, silence these disturbed pots. But as that moment of silence crests, you hear a couple of other small screams from the shed.
What
Okay.
now?
I guess we'll find out. Okay.
Sister, we've already given ourselves to this.
Nope, you know how it is. Once people start screaming, everyone starts screaming, so you have to calm everyone down. Let's go back and just check real quick.
Okay, so you're making your way back to the shed.
Mhm.
Okay, so what exactly are you doing when you approach the shed?
I'm gonna cautiously go back with the trowel in hand, just in case you may need to do something. But she'll also have like a hand out as just like I won't hurt you if you don't hurt me, and just see what's causing the screams.
Okay. Are you fully entering the shed? Like walking through that open door, or are you on the outside of it still?
I think
Take it slow, sister. Put yourself first.
I know. She'll poke her head in, but she's not going to step fully in.
Even just sticking your head in, that smell of rot just suddenly blasts you in the face, just washes over your body. And you see a bucket a couple feet away from you on the ground of the tool shed. And now the bucket's starting to move.
I think you're right. I think we've had enough of this place for right now. I'm going to attempt to escape.
Okay, so you don't want to propose a truth, but rather just plain escape.
Well, what do my sisters think? Do you think there is enough truth to be found here, or should we take our losses?
Oh,
I know
there's
nothing.
something.
I know nothing about new life like you do, Mother. But it's clearly here. But I agree. We've worked the land. Nothing should smell like that and grow. So there is life here, but it is goes untended. Take what message you will from that.
Hmm.
Um, so the witch has been watching quietly, carefully, as the mother sung to the rattling pots, as we made the very smart decision not to go all the way into that stinking shed. And, I noticed the herbs and plants that were labeled on the pots that were wiggling and crying, raspberry leaves and turmeric, and pennyroyal, and as a witch, I know what one can do when you mix enough of these and other
Mm.
things in the right order. I know exactly what's planted in those pots that will never grow. And I think that I think we should just go. This room, there's nothing in here for us. We did not plant these seeds. We have no ground for these seeds to grow. Um, I think we should. I don't know who did this, but this is not a nothing will grow here. We should probably come back and put salt on the ground later. Different day, not tonight.
Vital, you're quiet. What say you?
I think I'm with the witch on this one. I mean, you know me, I'm all for experiences, but this feels wrong. I think at the very least, we should send one of our newfound staff members to come in and salt this room like the witch said.
Okay.
I and I say this plain speech. I of course will follow where my sisters go, whatever you choose to decide. But even if we simply escape, I ask you to think on the question: if this feels wrong, why? Hang on to that.
I think I'm actually going to propose truth, but it's a truth that is suspecting of disloyalty. And here's my reasoning.
Okay.
Witnessing what I've witnessed here, we know of the types of herbs found here and what they can be used for. We've heard rumors and whispers in the village of once one girl goes off, comes back ill, weak, and sometimes they don't come back at all. Those pots are reminders of what they had to give up. That mound that we didn't look too carefully in, but compared with the bucket in there and the screams, I think those are those who did not survive the sacrifice. But my reasoning for the disloyalty is, why would he allow something like this to happen in his halls, in his very castle? I understand wanting to keep things hush, but a man as wealthy as him can afford to have that done somewhere else. So she will take the trowel in hand with all the rust on it as her token of disloyalty, thinking there's something very off about this place filled with death.
Okay. So we mark a token of disloyalty in the trowel, and then Mother, you mark one trauma. Now, do pay attention to your trauma track, sisters, as when it fills, you will shatter. And that brings its own set of challenges, as we may find out. So the mother proposed the truth. Take a last look at this befouled soil. The trauma is only for the mother. It's only for the person that's taking the token and marking it. So you tuck the trowel away and you exit this greenhouse, and that door sighs behind you as it closes, and you immediately feel like a rush of the cool air of the hallway, and the sweat dries, and you're back in the hallway. Mother, who do you pass the ring to?
As she's unfurling her dress, because I forgot that she did that.
Oh yeah.
She will think back and how usually she sometimes has some back and forth with the animus, just due to that weird duality but opposing force of them. And she'll give the key to her. Let your strength guide us. That was a bit tiring for me.
Gladly. Let's see what more there is to see in this strange place.
Okay, Animus, please describe the next key.
Okay. Animus will run their hand through the keys, searching for something that feels solid. And the key that they come up with is like an ashen gray looking wood, but so dense as to almost be metal. And the pattern of leaves and such that seems to be carved into it almost resembles an olive branch.
So you say it's dense. So it's pretty weighty in your hand then?
Yes, there is a solidity to this that is shocking for what appears to be wood.
Okay. That sounds good.
It's what caught her attention. She's looking for something that feels solid with everything going strange here.
Okay, yes, something tangible.
Something she can get a grip on.
Indeed. A bit more familiar to your sensibilities than these shiny, delicately patterned metal here. Okay, just give me one moment here.
In the meantime, sisters, how about, and I ask this out of all the patience I have, can we take off the shoes?
That's perfectly fine.
Okay. I was done with these things hours ago.
Honestly, I should have taken them off before actually stepping foot in there, but things just get lost in your brain sometimes. But yes, please take off the shoes.
And yeah,
I'll only ever look at the dress.
Maybe the veil too. That probably caused some of the sweat a little bit. Let's take that too off.
Excellent. The bride will strip off the veil and pull off the shoes and and those are now being carried.
Okay, because I thought we were just going to set them in the hall, and I was getting really sad. I'm like, no, not my white kidskin slippers.
No, I feel like Animus wants to just put them down somewhere. And
no,
but the witch is holding them real tight.
Yeah, the witch is like, no, those are our shoes.
At least
We just moved in. We can't be leaving things around.
At least until we find our room. Then we could put them away.
We are the mistress of the house. It's exactly why we can leave things around.
But we finally have that walk-in closet.
It's the size of half our farmhouse.
Mm.
Shoes.
Okay, so you take this key in your hand and you go through the halls once again looking for a door that seems to match. Eventually, you have a sort of instinct and you push aside a dark red curtain that you find. And it reveals a sturdy oaken door with a dark silver handle. And through the bottom of the door, you smell like cooling delicacies, like a pie cooling, or petit four, or sugary sweets. And so the room beckons.
Well, if nothing else, I have found us food. And puts hand on the knob and turns the knob.
So you enter and the door closes behind you. So you go down a short staircase that leads down into a kitchen. And the kitchen is lined with these moldy, dried herbs. The kitchen is a broad stone room with an uneven stone floor. There's an ancient metal oven next to the fireplace. It's just barely smoking from a fire in it, probably just a few hours ago. There's a cold stew pot that's suspended from a hook nearby. And there's actually a kind of shorter and stockier man that's sitting in a wooden chair. He's got an apron and a chef hat on, and he's fully asleep in a chair next to the central table, and you can like hear him snoring. There's a cleaver on his belt that scrapes on the floor every time he breathes in and out in this doze. You catch a little bit of drool out of the corner of his mouth.
Charming.
You notice his lips are cracked, kind of like yours at times.
Leslie, I feel bad about my charming comment.
Does make me think of father with the drool, though.
So on the table, there are dozens of these look like pies. And they're kind of like piled on top of each other, and they all have like a little heart or a leaf decorated on the pastry. It smells now just like your mother's cooking.
Credit where credit is due. The man certainly can cook.
He might look like father, but I think he cooks like mother.
How about we find out?
So what would you like to do?
I think, again, being a bit distracted from, because again, this is what she wanted. She wanted something familiar, something, comfortable. So I think the animus, the bride, is going to just reach out for a pie and see what the staff of this kitchen can make for her.
Okay, great.
We want one with a heart on it.
Of course.
Okay, a pie with a heart on it.
It is our wedding night. It's not the wedding night we were hoping for, but we can at least have the pies that were clearly intended.
Indeed, indeed. So okay, you're grabbing the pie. Mm-hmm. So when you do so, you take it in your hands and you sort of look at it and you smile at the delicate heart there to symbolize this new love of Bluebeard's. The chef and the house have probably worked pretty hard to make all of this food. And the crust of the pie splits open, and inside is a heart, and it beats once, boom, and it beats twice, boom, and it beats a third time, almost like a fist pounding on a door. And then it goes silent.
I said I wanted the heart pie, but this is not what I meant.
Is a delicacy of some kind, like a meat pie, but more serious?
Give me a moment to think.
Oh.
She's going to investigate mysterious object.
Okay. So what questions do you want to ask me?
I am horrified of this answer, but whose item is this?
Whose item is this?
Mm-hmm.
This item is Bluebeard's.
Okay, solidly. Okay, and then we're going to follow up with, why did Bluebeard keep this item?
Okay. You notice that despite the disturbing sight of this heart beating inside this pie, it smells delicious. And the crust is lightly browned and flaky. The savory sauce has vegetables in it.
Okay, so you're saying it smells good, but how good does this smell? Like, I'm looking at this thing in my hand and the heart is still beating inside this hand pie. Are you telling me it smells good enough that I still kind of want some of it anyway?
That's correct.
Nice.
Sisters, when was the last time we ate for all that wedding planning and running around?
Too long.
And
Definitely
again,
Surely a tiny piece of this wouldn't be missed.
and again, maybe it's a delicacy.
I mean, this can't be like a heart. We've had hearts before. We've had beef heart. We've had chicken hearts. I mean, this is. I'm not sure exactly what we saw, but it can't be beating. Maybe it was just steam coming out.
And Animus,
I do love a man.
Go ahead.
I do love a man that doesn't let anything go to waste.
Very true. That does match your sensibility. Now, Animus, can you remind me, what was this second question you asked?
Certainly, why does Bluebeard keep this item?
Why does Bluebeard keep this item? Okay.
Or why did, yeah.
As an example of what he'll expect from you. Sure, there are cooks and this chef here, though I guess he's kind of sleeping on the job. And to do the cooking potentially, but there will be times where he'll demand it from you anyway. To cook his favorite things, unusual things, difficult things, time-consuming things to match his tastes. So this is just an example of that.
Okay. Well, at this point, I need to think. Give me a moment, sisters. Okay.
Okay, so I
Mm.
think with that, we are going to take a short break as the sisters give some thought about what to do next. And we thank you very much for joining us so far. Thank you for any gift subs or bits. I think there were a few in there. So thank you so much for that. Very much appreciated. It helps Girls Run These Worlds continue to make these many awesome programs that they have. So take a bio break, get some water, take a stretch your legs, and we will be back very shortly with the next part of Bluebeard's Bride. See you in a bit. Hello, and welcome back to the Girls Run These Worlds channel, where we are playing a one shot of the Magpie Games Bluebeard's Bride. So we have our sisters here. We've been moving through Bluebeard's mysterious mansion. We've seen a music room, we've seen a greenhouse, and now we are in the kitchen, where the Animus has the ring. And she was pondering what to do with this meat pie that was found to have a beating heart inside, yet smells utterly delicious. And you are hungry. So what do you do, Animus?
Oh, I do. And we've already investigated a mysterious object, and our sisters are full of the wonderful advice that we're hungry. And they're not wrong either. And there's been these elements, as much as the our new home and our new situation is unsettling. We've embraced the music. We have sung and communed with the garden, the lost garden. And I feel like Animus feels strong, feels capable of handling these strange things. I think we're going to try the pie.
Okay.
Vital's
so it
over here
will be-
judging us.
So
He's not literal. I think that's one thing we know. He's very poetic. It wouldn't be a real
Metaphorical.
heart.
Yeah.
how do you eat the pie? Like, what are you doing? Are you grabbing a scoop with your hand? Are you taking a tiny bit of crust? Like, how does this work?
No, I mean, if you're going to do something, you're going to do it fully. These half measures will not accomplish anything. It's basically like you said, that the crust split. So we're going to take a bite from the point where, there's still a crust to hold on to.
Okay. So you take a bite of the pie and it tastes like many things at once. And it almost goes through all of these different flavors like an everlasting gobstopper. Or one of those other ones that was like, oh, it tastes like a blueberry pie and then a steak dinner. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So you taste a pastry your mother created when she was well enough to exercise her skill in the kitchen. Then it tastes like some other confection that your dad would bring home to the farmstead when he would have to go out to the village where all the merchants are. Then it tastes bland and almost flavorless, and then escalates into spices that you've never tasted, complex flavors, umami, sour, bitter, sweet, all jumping across your tongue.
What is happening here? The Animus will actually put the pie down now at that point, because that was an experience. And we'll go basically looking through the rest of the kitchen to try and make sense of how that happened. She doesn't want to wake up the man sleeping in the chair, unless she has to, but she'll certainly go looking around, maybe for a recipe book.
Okay, so other things you had seen in here is that ancient oven. You saw the suspended stew pot. The cook has that cleaver dangling from his belt. So you're looking for a recipe book. So eventually you do find one. You sort of like circle around these tables, watching your steps in your bare feet on this cold, uneven stone floor. And you do see a book laid open on one of the free countertops. What do you do?
I will approach it, see what page it's on, see what it contains.
Okay. And you see pies for my husband, and then a little heart. And the first page you see is a pretty standard recipe for a meat pie, for the gravy and the vegetables and the sauce and everything, and how to cook the meat correctly. And then next to it is the same recipe, but like things are crossed out very hastily. And then there are different ingredients listed. And there are some like ink smears on the page. There's one of the corners of the recipe book is sticky.
With the new ingredients that were crossed out and added in, is it the same handwriting?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, apparently our husband is very particular. He didn't like what he was served, so it had to be fixed.
I mean, they do say food is the quickest way to a man's heart, but they never really talk about the trial and error involved.
Hmm.
And it is a type of art, like most other things. You have to perfect it, even if the criticism is a bit harsh at times.
Here I
No recipe's good at the first go.
But there's
No.
value in the mistakes.
And again, clearly the intention is it's made with love. So there's the situation I'm looking at. We could equally have the perfectionists, such as your music room, but equally, this is something that is expected of us to do, and to do it exactly the way he wants it.
Maybe what's missing is his involvement in the kitchen.
I would like to take stock, groundskeeper.
Sure.
Go
Go
What
ahead.
horror here is hidden from the bride, please?
So you continue to look at this recipe book, and you start to flick through the other pages, and it's meat pie, or pie for my husband, heart, different versions, different instructions. You pass 2 or 3 pages, and then the handwriting does change, and then only 1 page more and the handwriting changes again. And here's a page that has a splatter of blood across it. And then the next page, everything is scribbled out hastily.
Does it show, how do I phrase this? Does it ever come down to a common recipe that's in the multiple handwritings, or does it seem like the ingredients and the taste change every single time?
it changes every single time. It's never once the same. There are maybe a couple basic elements that persist, but the seasonings, the meat, even the kind of meat in the pie, or maybe no meat in the pie, different vegetables, like it's just these endless permutations scratched out and then restarted, sometimes in the new handwriting.
Sister, I think it's a different attempt at multiple appetites to be satiated.
Or, and here is my concern, it is perhaps it is the fact that I have a habit of seeing the ways that power moves. It could simply also be change it and see if they follow instructions. It's this doesn't seem to be about catering to a single person's taste. This appears to be, at best, an exercise in obedience, and at worst, a torture.
I will at least say, remember when Mother fell ill and we had to take on a bit more responsibilities? We've tried some of her recipes before as well, but they always, even if we followed everything to the letter, there was always something different. I don't want to dissuade you from your thought, but it also could be possible that future people tried to copy it, but it just wasn't right. And things changed to make it their own in a way. I don't want to say that you're wrong in any case, but there are many different ways to look at it, at least.
Also, my darling, you always think cooking is torture.
I don't like being indoors, and especially in, this is actually a worse version of a kitchen. At least the one in our farmhouse was full of people, full of kids, full of life. This is a stone tomb.
I will agree to that, yes.
Well, we'll simply tell our husband we need a summer kitchen. And
more
maybe
staff.
we'll, oh, okay. Summer kitchens are fantastic. They are specifically in hot weather places, like when you're down south. You use them for cooking jams, jellies. You cook down all your fruit because you can't do that inside when it's already 100 outside. You just die. It's miserable. So you have like a 3-season porch, but you set it up and you cook on the porch from like the middle of the spring to the middle of the fall. They're freaking fantastic. When I win the Powerball, I'm gonna have one.
Excellent.
Powerball, sister.
Okay.
Okay, what are we doing now?
Absolutely. I think just on a whim, the Animus is also going to, the Animus has pretty much almost made up her mind, but she's going to look in the oven just on a nasty suspicion.
Okay, so you're interacting with this ancient oven that you had seen. So you open up the oven, and inside is like completely charred. It's just dark soot and little crumbles, and it smells like it hasn't been opened in a long time, but the charred interior was so thoroughly like incinerated that there's no like rot or decay smell. It's just fully burnt. And you do see, though, something intact in there and it's a couple strands of long red hair. It's almost striking how the color peeks out amidst the darkness of the charred oven interior.
Animus will reach in to take the hairs out.
So you grab the hair and before you can even like extricate your hand with the strands out of the oven, like as soon as it makes contact with this outside air, it basically like burns up. Like when hair catches on fire.
Oof.
And it just kind of, so you smell that nasty burnt hair smell, and it just basically disappears from existence entirely.
Okay. Animus will close the oven door and will walk over to the recipe book and turn to the last page that has the meat pie for my husband, and will tear out the page.
Okay.
I've made my mind up, sisters. I acknowledge that you wish me to see the bright side of things, or at least to give people chances. I acknowledge that my job here is to reinforce the idea that we will not be used and we will not be hurt. I am taking the precaution now to watch for that danger. I believe that this act of pie after pie after pie, the delicacy of it, the rapid change of ingredients, that this is not about his favorite food. He has servants to make his favorite food. He has all these things. What he's doing with these brides, with these previous women before us, is about strength and reinforcing how he wants them to change for him, or even just not even caring about the food, just seeing if they obey. I am disloyal.
Okay. So the animus takes a token of disloyalty. And as a reminder, once 3 tokens are taken of either loyalty or disloyalty, we enter a new phase of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll approach the final room. So you take that very last recipe page as your token of disloyalty. And written on it is a recipe for the pie, nothing scratched out, but the handwriting is extremely shaky. And you store it kind of pressed up against probably the half page of sheet music taken from the music room. And you feel that trowel there as well, that piece of solid things that connects you to the outdoors. At least maybe that's how you feel, Animus, being so much more comfortable in nature rather than in this potential tomb, as you said. So Mark 1 trauma, Animus.
Very well. Patel, you've been quiet. I know this is not again, as I say, the wedding night you intended.
Do I look disappointed?
You do. I go explore. I wish you better tidings than I have come to.
Thank you, sister. I'll eagerly grab the keys.
Okay, so now the Fatale has the ring of keys. You exit the kitchen with that chef still snoring away, seemingly not a care in the world. And the door shuts, and you're back into the still air of the hallway. And I'll have you please describe the next key.
As I exit the room and I take a deep breath, I'm thumbing through the key ring. And as I'm thumbing through, something kind of nicks my finger. And off the key ring, I pull a ring. It looks like a band. It's just a ring. Part of sort of the side that faces up is curved outward a bit more, as if it is meant to be kind of pushed flush up into something. And as I put it on and approach the door, I get that sharp pain again, and I look at the top of my finger, and there's blood as I press the ring to the door.
Okay. I want to make sure I'm staying true to your description here. So it's just a circular band there. I think I understand what you mean by the curvature to be pressed flush against something. Now, what is the color or the material?
The outside of it is polished copper. If you were to kind of look back at the inside of it, though, if you were to sort of take it off and look, it's patinaed. It's got gunk on the inside of it, and darker bits that I'm maybe not necessarily able to make out at this point.
Okay. Gotcha. And it nicked your finger. Very interesting. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Okay. So you have to look a little harder for this door due to the unusual shape of the key or the non-traditional shape of the key. You are looking for a very specific lock mechanism rather than a simple keyhole, as you've seen up until this point. And you actually have to go down some stairs in the hallway. Quite a few, actually. And you're feeling that luxurious, expensive carpet on your bare feet. Maybe that brings you a little bit of comfort. You're surrounded by everything you could ever want. It's not the splintering wood of the old farmstead. It's a fine, probably imported rug. Your hands could become tender and not calloused. There's a different life that could be for you here. So you actually continue down the stairs, and you hit the platform there, and you actually see a thin door like hidden underneath the stairs. And behind some like dust draped furniture. And you press this band into the appropriate looking mechanism, and you actually see the band spin around a bunch of times. pretty quickly. You hear all these like gears inside the door, ka-choom, 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 ka-choom. And the room beckons. You enter and the door closes behind you. The room smells of mold and old smoke. This is a secret basement study. It has immaculate white wallpaper that's decorated with flowers, but the lighting seems kind of off. It's not, the lighting hasn't been considered. It's just kind of like all over the place. And you're looking at this very nice wallpaper and this, you're kind of intrigued by the kind of secret nature of this room, that you almost don't notice that the room is flooded and there is water, murky water, up to your mid calf. There is a chimney above that continues down into a large fireplace. There is a shiny something you can see in the murky water as well, but you can't discern exactly what it is, but something shines in the water not too far away from you. And then on the opposite side of the fireplace, there's a old and dirty piano, and the keys are bent and warped. The water is tepid. It's not hot. It's not cold. Like bath water sat out too long. What would you like to do, Fatal?
Well, sisters, I mean, I think it needs a little bit of cleaning, a little bit of mopping, but you can't tell me I can't find us a good respite. What if this is our space?
There's the question. Is this something that was ever intended for us?
For a rich man, he certainly does not care for the upkeep of his home. It's curious as to why.
Maybe he's
It's a
never
very
here.
large property.
And
What's
yet
that
with
over
all
there,
this-
though?
With all these servants, you would expect better, but oh well.
Do the servants even know about this room?
Fair enough.
Does he even know about this room?
Also fair enough.
All right. Good question. How can we find out?
Well, I mean, we've already dirtied the bottom of the dress. Hitch it up one more time and let's see what that shiny thing is over there.
Is it possible though? Can we put the shoes on or find something else to put our feet in? I'd rather not step into that.
I yield. You can have your shoes back.
Only for this moment. I just don't want to step into anything odd. That water is odd.
Oh, no, I guess, if there is anything sharp. I guess it is better safe than sorry in this case. Let's pop him back on.
Thank you.
And then see what that is. And I'd like to approach the shiny thing and investigate a mysterious object.
Okay, what's the first question you'd like to ask about it?
Whose item is this?
It belonged to a former lady of the house.
And what about it is odd or uncanny?
So as you look closer and sort of squint and try to see exactly what the shiny object is, you can see that it's round. And that the shine itself is unnatural. Like it's shining in a way, especially in this crude lighting, that it shouldn't be. Like it's like this, almost like it's the light and the shine is almost bright enough that it looks like there's almost light emanating off of it and like shining up through the murky water.
Sisters, I'm not sure I've ever seen anything like this.
We've seen many strange things tonight.
Witch, is this natural?
No, we're not really going to bend down and put our hands in this too, are we? Really?
That's your concern.
Yes, this water it's touching my legs. It's ruined my dress. It's ruined my shoes. And it's going to be slimy.
Fatal, get the ring.
We're in it now.
I'm surprised at you, Witch. I would suspect that you would be more curious about this.
There's curious. And then there's that.
Your interest isn't just a little
Fine.
bit piqued?
Fine, maybe a little. The smallest bit. Okay, let's get the ring.
I'm gonna get the ring.
There she is.
Okay. So you're reaching down into the water in the direction of the shine.
I'm holding up my skirt, with one hand and sort of bending down, trying not to dip the other side of it into it.
Okay. So you reach your hand down. Sorry. The chat. Sorry, that was really funny. You really got me. So you reach down into the water and you clasp your hand around actually two items. You feel two metal objects, not heavy, but you feel that coldness against your skin, and you sort of scoop that and you feel the items in your hand, and you open up your hand, and one of the things is a large coin. And on the side that's currently facing up, you see a depiction, an image of a man kind of bending down and outstretching his hand, and then a young child, like a young girl, is there and reaching for his hand. And on the top in lettering, it says, father to daughter. And the other object is a ring. Almost like the key you used to get in here, though it's in the more traditional shape, no curvature, like it's supposed to fit anything, just a standard ring. It's silver, but it's tarnished. It's scratched up. What do you do now?
If I turn the coin over, is there anything on the other side of this coin?
Yes. you see another image. And this one is a man, but not the same one. He's wearing this fine structured jacket and has a long beard. And then he's in the same position as the man on the other side, slightly crouched down with one hand extended to now a young woman in a wedding gown. And in the text engraving above it says, daughter to husband.
Sisters, you know me, I'm not one to normally admit when I won't say wrong. I don't know if this is the respite we need. I don't know if this room is a place for us. Mother.
What do you do?
It feels there's something off, and I don't know whether it be my growing distrust or there's something else, but this is to me not a place of peace and respite and calm. So far, we haven't found many places like that. But is this something is this something you want to try? I know that you are someone who takes challenges. What do you feel in this?
I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair to make an assessment based on some old tat I found beneath the water in this hidden room. But I think it maybe at least is in our best interest to press on. What's that? And I'm going to look over to the fireplace and start heading over to get a better look at the fireplace.
Okay. Are you hanging on to the coin in the ring, or what are you doing with it?
I am, but when I get to the fireplace, I'm going to set them down on the mantle.
Okay, fair enough. So you approach the fireplace. It appears dead and cold, yet you can make out a pale glimmer coming from inside it. What do you do?
Does this look like a similar glimmer of the? Oh, sorry, I feel like this is me getting really really D&D. Is it a similar glimmer to the first shiny object?
It is similar, but it is not as strong. Like, it's significantly diminished.
I'm going to take stock, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
What horror is hidden here from the bride?
You study the fireplace a little closer. Maybe you just crane your neck slightly just to look in it, and a pale face is staring back at you. It's a woman with long, wet hair. Her expression is so pale and still that you're not entirely sure if it's her face or if it's a mask.
There's a bitch in our chimney.
Isn't there always some bitch in
You're
the
not
chimney?
wrong.
Sisters,
Not wrong.
please. We've been hanging out with that uncle for far too long. Good gracious.
Mother, it is a difficult night. I think cursing is in order.
Which has every right to be startled.
I guess that's fine. There's
So
no
are we
children
saying-
around, so I suppose.
Are we saying hello or running away, Fatal? You're a people person.
Mm-hmm.
But she's not. And I'm gonna stare pretty directly into her face. And as I kind of put the trinkets down on the ledge, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to caress her.
Okay. So I'll have you roll plus blood, please.
Mm. Uh, uh, 10.
Nice.
Because I have a +1 to blood.
Well done.
Woo!
Well done. That is a hit. No compromise needed. So you hear in the distance like the laughter of a woman, and it's coming from above you. And you see the woman in the chimney start to move unnaturally. And she looks at you and she says, "Please, I won't tell anybody about this. I promise." And then she scurries up the chimney. And eventually you can't see her anymore.
Tell anyone about what? About this room?
Whatever it is, there was fear there. I pity her.
She was afraid.
Oh, sisters, of course she was afraid. Look at this. I'm going to reach up and grab the coin again off the mantle and flip it around so that we're watching it kind of dance and spin across my knuckles. She was a silly little girl from somewhere even smaller than we were, handed directly from her father to a husband. And she somehow managed to destroy the one little spot she had carved out for herself. I don't know how she filled it with this much water. But let that silly little ghost girl hide in her space. Let's let her rest.
Which, are
Before
you
she
not the
comes.
least bit curious why the piano isn't in your fine music room?
No, it's not nearly as nice as the one that was upstairs.
This one is a
He's
bit
not wrong.
warped.
You're certain, sister, that this room belonged to her and not him.
I mean, this is. Why, yes, it's down and it's hidden, but this doesn't seem like a very masculine room. These beautiful, all the way until the water stains, these walls are so pretty and white, and a beautiful little piano set up with a fireplace. This would have been a beautiful little place to come and hide and just take stock when you're feeling overwhelmed. Like the Fatale said earlier, it should have been a respite if she had been more careful.
I agree that if it was for her, then she was discovered because he had the key on that ring.
This
I
is our
think it's
husband's
easy
house.
for me sometimes to confuse a place of peace and respite for a place of shame and hiding. And I think I may be ready to propose a truce that I'm coming to
Great.
is that this is a place of shame, a place that was tucked away, a place maybe where if disobedience and if needs were not met, this place being so far beneath the rest of the house, I think this is a place of shame, and I think that's what I'm coming around to.
Okay. So what you think happened in the room in the past was that this place kind of transformed into a place that made
This feels like
the
a place
woman
of
in the
keeping. This feels like a
Okay.
place of maybe transformation and of time being spent and isolation.
Okay. What kind of token are you taking? First of all, loyal or disloyal?
I think I'm taking a token of disloyalty, and I am taking the I'm going to take the coin. I'm going to take the coin from the witch, who, if you are still spinning it around your fingers, I'm just going to spindly pluck it from you.
Okay. So you've taken the coin as a token of your disloyalty, fatal Mark 1 trauma. So as you exit the room,
One moment.
go ahead.
Fatal, I share your suspicions, of course, but I also caution you to the fact that you see shame in places, and I worry that comes from things that you are concerned about with yourself rather than, and it may color your judgment. Take a moment to focus, see things with clear eyes. Do you believe me?
Animus, I hate that you see me. No, you're right. I think I do project. I think we wouldn't be in this if otherwise, we wouldn't. You're right. I need to think clearly.
We are in this because of all of us. I just want everyone to prepare for what could be a very hard experience. I activate the face move of the shield because Fatal accepted my statement. She marks one less trauma.
Okay, so the trauma you would have taken upon your disloyal token is negated by the face move. Well done, Animus.
And the mother will turn to the Animus and just look at her and state, you showed a strength that I was cautious of taking. I wanted to give this place a benefit of the doubt with the kindness he showed us, the generosity he showed us. But I realize now that it's time for a more chaotic strength and not a stable strength. And I'll activate the martyr face and take on the Animus's trauma. So now I'm up to 3.
Okay, so Animus, your trauma is transferred to the mother.
Let me take the burden for right now. You focus on keeping her and us safe.
I will do that.
And isn't it just like the mother to sacrifice not only for the people around her, the people in her care, the people that will be in her care, but for herself? And so we move in to the final phase of the game with 3 disloyal tokens. So, sisters, you traveled these dark halls in search of a truth most divisive. Each room provided you with all the evidence you desired to make that one fateful choice. Now you stand before the forbidden final room, and you must decide. Will you enter the forbidden room, or will you escape the mansion entirely?
Sisters, I think as the Animus pointed out, clearly my judgment is somewhat compromised. Do we need to see more?
I have to know. I have to know. There's so much power here. There is so much that we could have and use and enjoy. And none of you will accept it and just enjoy it. And so we have to see. You have to show me. Show me what's in there that's so terrible we can't enjoy this. You want to run away in the middle of the night.
A part of me kind of agrees with the witch. We have seen things that have been unsettling, and it has alluded to darker forces. But I don't think we have seen truly in our face what is real. We have seen things that could be possible imaginations or just alluding. I think we need to see it for ourselves.
I agree. I don't want to. When I choose to act, I will act completely, and I do not wish to do so on shadows, half-truths, and assumptions. Let's open the door. See your husband for... We assume he's hiding something. Let's see what he's hiding.
I can't leave
Okay.
here not knowing.
Very well. So the decision of the table is to enter the forbidden room.
Mhm.
So you take that small key that he pointed out to you just before he left. Little flecks of blood on it from when the fatale cut her finger on the other ring. You put the key in the keyhole. No resistance. It unlocks immediately. The room beckons just like all the others. You step inside, and the door closes behind you. When you enter, it's almost like this was waiting for you based on what you had already seen in the mansion thus far. It appears as though it's some kind of trophy room. Large, high ceilings, dark wood, finely upholstered furnitures, mirrors. And in there, the bodies of women are displayed. Pinned like a butterfly, dressed in different outfits. No two women the same. Different figures, different hair, different tones of skin, different heights. A variety. The room is so still. Death surrounds you. The fate of the other brides clear before you now. One is still displayed in her wedding dress in a white coffin with red velvet interior, looking almost peaceful, whereas others are crying out, their jaws slack, their eyes not closed, forever witnessing the other horrors in the room. Now that you've seen it and understand clearly Bluebeard's past and the past ladies of the house, are you escaping the mansion?
Sisters, we must go. We have married a monster.
We must go and tell everyone. We can't let this happen to another. Not anymore.
He's a man of enormous wealth and power.
But
Will we be believed? We've heard rumors before we were married.
But they never had proof like we did. Anyone who did probably ended up in this room. We can take what we can and show everyone.
And sisters, upon escaping the mansion, you have another choice. You can present the evidence that you have to the town of Bluebeard's murderous ways, or you can simply run away and start anew and leave it all behind. Which one of those escapes do you choose?
We need to get out of here as fast and as far as we can go, particularly since, if possible, I'd love to set this bitch on fire on the way out. So we should really go as far as we can.
My only concern by just leaving everything is this could be the martyr in me. This could be the mother in me. But if we leave and show nothing, what comes to everyone else? What of our sisters? What of our cousins, our friends? We've seen all those women in there. He'll choose more. I can't just not try and stop this.
So we leave him nothing to bring them back to. But if we go home, he knows where to find us. He finds us at home with the children, with mother.
He could find us anywhere if he has the wealth that we know of.
Fatal.
Not if we burn it all down.
In my experience, these men always have another pad, a loft, a penthouse. Who's to say that burning this down, he's not just going to continue to do the same to someone less cunning?
Also, the walls are stone. I'm saying it probably won't burn easily. Mother, I agree that if I have to look at myself in the mirror for the rest of my life, knowing I didn't say anything to anyone,
I'd break every mirror in the house.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's have a vote here. Animus, do you present the evidence to the town or do you escape?
Present the evidence.
And start anew. Present the evidence. Okay, Witch, what about you? Present the evidence or start anew?
Fine, but when we all come to ruin, remember that we could have been 20 miles from here with ashes in our hair. Let's take the evidence to town.
Okay, we have another vote for evidence to town. Fatal, what do you say?
I'm not saying police intervention is always the answer, but in this case, I think we turn the motherfucker in.
Okay, present the evidence and mother.
There's more than one way to make a man feel our wrath besides fire. let's present evidence.
Okay, so the sisters have decided to present the evidence to the town. So now I have some questions for all of you. And we'll just go around and we can all answer some different questions. What did the town do to rid themselves of the bride's disloyal ravings?
Well, while I am entirely too much of a lady to stare myself deep in the mirror so that my sisters can see the look on our face as I tell them over and over again that I did warn us. Um, Instead, every day we avoid looking into the mirrors so that I don't give into that temptation as we walk the halls of the asylum up the hill, which is surprisingly heavily populated by almost all women, some of them wonderfully beautiful, some of them shockingly scarred, and almost all of them seem to know exactly why we're here.
So the town rid themselves of the bride's disloyal ravings by sending her to
They locked us up
the asylum.
in the loony bin up the mountain.
Okay. Thank you for your answer. Mother, how did Bluebeard blackmail the bride's family into silence?
We've heard of some new technology before going to the mansion before getting married. A technology that happens to be all the rage in asylums for particularly women who don't play by the rules. And it deals with changing their mind permanently. And he made that perfectly clear to our still recovering mother, our tired father. If they do not play by his rules, the daughter that they knew will be lost in her own body.
Wow. Understood. Fatal, what loving gift does Bluebeard send the bride for their wedding anniversary?
I think he sends the bride a necklace, knowing she can't keep it. She's not able to keep anything that would maybe hang or dangle. It's a gold chain. It's got very tiny links in it. And then from kind of equidistantly spaced are 3 coins that hang from it. And that's what he sends on this first anniversary.
A lovely gift. Animus, what new room in Bluebeard's house haunts the bride's dreams every night?
You know that feeling when you've woken up, but you realize after you're still dreaming, but you thought you were awake for a moment? It's where the lines begin to blur between the asylum and the beautiful old house. We wake up, and there's a room, and it's clean and white and soft and quiet. And it's a rocking chair, and it is a room that seems unfinished, as if it were being made into something that we could press our personality onto, but it is such a half-formed, half-finished thing, and we cannot leave it, and we cannot ever make our mark on it. And then we wake up in another white room.
I will ask you, Animus, though, how does the bride make herself at home in that perfect new room or unfinished room, as you said?
I think because, again, we cannot complete the makings of it, that it will always feel unfinished. The bride settles down into the chair and will look out the window or imagine the things that could have been painted onto the walls, or the musical instrument that could have sat in the corner, or the way that our secret place could have been.
Very good. And with that, the story of our bride is ended. Locked away for who knows how long. Her family blackmailed by Bluebeard. Her disloyal ravings silenced, at least for now. And my duties as the groundskeeper have ended. I'd like to thank everybody who came out to watch this one shot of Bluebeard's Bride by Magpie Games. I had an absolutely wonderful time. I hope everyone watching was entertained and horrified in some way. I hope you enjoyed. So we are just going to do a quick outros for everybody. So please, my players, if you'll say where you can be found in the online spaces, if you're working on any other projects that you'd like to talk about. Let's start once again with Abby the Animus.
Hi there. So I have been your Animus, Abby. I will continue to be Abby going forward. And you can find me on Twitter at Clarion Call, information below. And that is where you'll find a lot of my postings for when I get involved in lovely streams like this. Thank you, Girls Run These Worlds, for running Bluebeard's Bride. I feel it's a game that really makes an impact on the scene, and really can tell some amazing difficult stories. And I appreciate the opportunity to do so.
Awesome. Thanks, Abby. Now on to Arnica the Witch.
Hi, I'm Arnica. I've been your witch this evening. You can find me on Twitter at ArnicaXRoss. You can find me here on Twitch at the same name, ArnicaXRoss, although I really don't do too much here. And hopefully this summer you'll be seeing me play in more games here at Girls Run the World, as well as when we come back from hiatus, I'll be over on Valorant's channel running my Avatar: The Last Airbender campaign. Oh yeah, DM me.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Thank you, Arnica. Now on to Ava the Mother.
Hello, darlings and dears. I'm Ava. I was the mother on this game, but you can find me on another Girls Run These Worlds campaign on Wednesdays, where I also, once again, play a team mom. So find me there on Wednesdays. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at Sukikamumai, TSUKIKOMUMAI. And go to bed now. Your mother demands it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mother. And last we have Liz the Fatale.
Hey, I'm Liz. I've been the Fatale, slightly unsatisfied, having not actually had the wedding night she thought. You can find me on all socials as the Mulan Rogue. I am also currently on the Utopia D&D podcast, which you can find at Utopia D&D podcast. Thank you so much to the amazing cast and our groundskeeper for this. Again, I think it's a super important story to explore. Thank you to Girls Run These Worlds. The production on this has been amazing, and the important stories that you're telling, this community needs so much more of it. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Liz. And my name is Sarah. I was your groundskeeper. You can find me on Twitter at MC Diabetes. I'm a creative partner at Martlet Games. We have some shows going on over there, so just check out the Martlet Games Twitter. We do quite a bit of horror stuff, vampire stuff. We do love horror over there. So if you need more, we've got you covered. In terms of where you can find me, right now we're filming the second and final season of my Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition chronicle, London's Bleeding, which is about vampires in London just after World War I in 1918. So you can look out for that in the next couple of months as production wraps up. You can usually find me on Vancouver by Night as part of the Saturday Vampire Takeover. We're on hiatus right now, but please give them some vampire love on Saturday if you are so inclined. That will pretty much do it for me. I did want to shout out Baba Yaga. Unfortunately, our version of the game got called away. She was sorely missed. So we do hope we get to play with her at some point in the future. I wanted to thank Magpie Games for this, one of my favorite TTRPGs of all time. Their core materials are incredible. There is so much narrative potential. I also like to shout out the supplement Book of Rooms. That was very helpful to me as a new groundskeeper, this being my first time ever running the game. It was very, very helpful to help set the stage and then infuse some of my own horror and flavor into the game. So big shout out to Magpie there. With that, we're going to say goodnight. We're going to go ahead and raid into Gehenna Gaming. They're doing a sleepaway camp horror Pride Month game of sorts. So that sounds super. So please show them some love when we head over there. And that will do it for this one shot of Bluebeard's Bride. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care of yourselves and each other. And we'll see you next time on Girls Run These Worlds. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bless you.
Bye.